Hey, how you doing? This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show, and we're finally going to get to this radio. I had this for 4-5 weeks, and there was two major problems. One was I had no idea how to use this radio. Now, what is this radio? This is from Retevis. They sent me this radio for a review, and it's a DMR radio, digital mobile radio. I was not familiar with DMR at all when I got this radio, but I've learned a lot. Well, I've learned some. And so we're going to do a review of this radio with the help of Doug in Texas. That's been my mentor, or as the amateur radio people call it, Elmer, helping me learn how to use this radio. Quickly, I'll tell you about the radio, and in this show, I'm just going to go over what the radio is, and then hopefully I can connect up with Doug and do a hangout on the air and use his expertise to talk about digital DMR radios in general and what we had to do, or he had to do, to program this radio for me. Okay, so here's the box, very nice heavy box it comes in, and it comes with a nice manual, although there's one thing I'll say about this manual in a few minutes, not right now. It comes with a very, very unique programming cable. This is a USB connector, and then there's some electronics inside here, and then there's this very unique connector. And then it comes with the AC adapter for the charging cradle. This was the biggest delay. I did not get the right AC adapter with the radio. I got the one for like Europe with the two big prongs. So I was able to, luckily the radio was fully charged when I got it. So I was able to work with Doug and get it programmed and try a few things before the battery went dead. And this is the charging cradle that the radio slides in. This is the radio. Pretty hefty radio. And it just slides in here to charge. Oop, I hit the transmit button by mistake. All right. So let's just tell you what it is. It's got an output power of 5 watts or 1 watt maximum. It does do digital communications. It does do the older analog communications. So you can use it either way, depending on how you program it. Frequency range, it has 2 ranges. It's a dual band. The frequency range is 136 to 174 and 400 to 480, and it can have up to 3,000 channels. Now, there's going to be a modification to that, because once we get into it, I'll tell you some major updates they've done to the firmware just last month. I think that's about it. It is based on the mobile Tier 1 and Tier 2 digital communications protocol. And let's see, and this one, the one I got, has built-in GPS. I've not figured out how to get that enabled. Oh, I know how to get it enabled, but I don't know how to use it, we'll put it that way. So we'll get into that later. It is waterproof up to IP-67 specification. That's about it. The manual. Let me go back to the manual here for a second. The manual has got tons of detail, but some of the important things are missing. For instance, now, other thing I want to say is the person that I've been working with from Retevis, her name is Sherry. she's been excellent. I sent her an email and she responds within 24 hours, no problem, answers my questions. One question I had was, there's nothing in the manual here, this manual that comes with it. Oh, this is a model RT82. This is the very latest model. There's no definitions of what's displayed on the screen. There's a bunch of symbols, and I had no idea what they meant. Well, she sent me a picture with information about what all the things on the screen were. That should be in the manual. It's not. The manual goes into excruciating detail of how to program the radio manually. And let me tell you this, you don't want to try to do that. It will drive you nuts. So it doesn't come with it. You have to download it from their website. No big deal. The programming software to program the radio. It's fairly complicated if you've never done DMR. I'm kind of relating DMR to trunking radio on your scanners. I may be wrong about that, but it's similar. The software, the programming software that you can download, doesn't have a manual. It doesn't have no manual. So I was struggling with that. Again, Doug came to the rescue and helped me out there. Now, Doug doesn't have this exact radio. He has a similar radio by a different manufacturer. And I think the guts and the firmware are very, very similar. So it was easier for him to help me. Well, it wasn't easy for him to help me because I was such an idiot. It took me, he was very, very patient with me. So anyway, and what I'm attempt to do is, the next couple of days, we're going to try to get Hangout on the Air via YouTube working so that I can have a live show with him in the show remotely. And I will basically ask him questions, and he can give the answers, the correct answers, which I would probably have the wrong answer or say something wrong. And hopefully we can use the chat room so you can ask questions of Doug, who is the expert. So here is the radio again. It's got this display here. It's about 2 fingers wide, 2 fingers high, square display. It is, let me turn it on. Let me press menu here. Okay, here is, I don't know what's going to show up. There's the display. There's the menu display. And it uses this little thumble wheel to move around. I struggled with that because I'm not very precise with my fingers anymore. And so I struggled with that, but I've learned to be patient and kind of take it easy, and I'm able to scroll around. And then you can push down on it, and it will select an item. For instance, here's I don't know if you can see it very well. There's the scan mode if you want to put it in scan. And so I press the button here, and it says turn it off because I have it turned on. So I'll leave it alone. I'll go back. Here's the back button. The buttons, some of the buttons, there's 2 buttons on the side down here. There's the transmit button, and there's a button up here. These buttons are, I don't know about the transmit button, but these other buttons are programmable. You can select what they do in the programming software. So one button you might set to do the scan option instead of having to go through the menu. The idea of having these programmable is that you can do things quickly without having to go through the menu system. And then it has a numeric keypad, which has both numbers and letters on it, and then some other keys over here. This is the connector to connect the radio to your computer via that cable I showed you, or to use a headphone headphone adapter, because there is no jack for a headphone. You have to use this special connector. There it is. Pretty hefty, but pretty unique. I have never seen this connector. It may be out there, I just have never seen one. And of course, I haven't ever used a DMR radio. Now, a DMR, digital mobile radio, comes from the business world. That's where it's been used for years, in the business world. And the idea is, by using digital format, you can get a lot more information, communications in the same channel, I'll say, for instance, same channel, for instance. And so you can have a lot of traffic coming and going. For instance, fire and EMS use a form of that. It's called trunking. And like I say, these were originally made by a number of companies. Motorola was the first one to come out with this for businesses, for them to have their employees out in the field communicate with them. That was before cell phones. A lot of people now have gone to cell phones. A lot of companies stay with this because it's kind of made for their businesses, and it's been around for a while. So they, may have money tied up in those types of radios. So that's in a nutshell what it is and what the radio is. Again, hopefully Doug and I can get hooked up on Hangouts on the air, and Doug can give you a lot more information that is accurate, where I may give you information which is inaccurate. I'm still a newbie. I still don't quite understand everything. I know enough just to be dangerous. I can show you the software that you can download. There are a couple of things. There's a number of websites devoted to DMR. A lot of them will show you the activity on DMR, which is, now DMR is worldwide. So you can program your radio and use one of the local repeater towers that is on the network of DMR and talk to people throughout the world through that local repeater. And I have, or should I say, Doug has programmed my radio. Now, the way that's done is you have something called a code plug, which is basically the programming information for the radio on a file that's generated by that programming software. And Doug has generated a number of these files for me. He's been upgrading them and adding more and more things to it. And then he can email that to me, and I can put it on I got it on my little laptop here, hook up that cable, and I can program this radio to have all those channels, have all the talk groups and everything he set up for me for my area. He's programmed in about, 10 or 15 different repeaters and other things. You could put other things in this radio. For instance, one of the things he programmed for me is all of the marine channels. The channels that are used for talking to radios in boats and vessels and stuff like that. Again, not used as much as it used to be because a lot of people now use cell phones. There are several different types of public radios that this radio will also work with. And he's programmed those channels in for me. So Doug has done a lot of work for me. And I just kind of tweaked a few things here and there, and that's about it. That's my level of expertise. So I'll be showing you that stuff in upcoming videos. I'll be doing several videos on this radio. It's pretty interesting, but the one thing that I learned is that unless you have somebody that can help you, you will really struggle if you've never dealt with digital mobile radios. You will struggle. Initially it's very confusing, at least to me. And of course I'm an old fart and my brain's dying, so that's part of the situation here. I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube about this radio, and I just had more questions than I had answers, and luckily Doug had the answers. So that's it. I hope you will enjoy this series. I thank Retevis for sending me this radio, and for Sherry for all her help with getting it going. And now that I finally have a charging cable, I can recharge it. That's one thing. Now let me go back and I'll just show you. This screen here is a color screen, and it uses a lot of power. And I quickly learned that I had initially, you can set it up so you can set the time that the screen is on, how many seconds. It just went off, so I got down to like 5 seconds now. Initially I had it don't go off, because that is an option. You can always keep the screen on. That will eat the battery big time. I shortened my chances for using the radio before I got the charger considerably. So I quickly learned, turn that off. When a signal comes through, it will light back up, and will give you a whole bunch of detailed information about that person that's transmitting. Unbelievable. Okay, that's probably about all I know about this radio at this point. So hopefully I can get hooked up with Doug, and this weekend we do a show, and with his help we can make some progress. If you enjoyed the show, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.